Welcome back to another episode of 420 Chief Podcast, where we shine light on healing, growth, and the power of plant medicine, especially for our veteran community. This podcast exists for one purpose: to share the stories the world needs to hear. Stories that break stigmas, offer hope, and prove that healing is possible through natural alternatives. Every episode, we connect with incredible individuals who've walked through darkness and found their way back, not just to life, but to purpose. Today's guest is no exception. Dustin Senella, known on TikTok as Sequoia Dustin, is a veteran, spiritual guide, and living proof that transformation is possible. He's overcome addiction, reprogrammed his life, and now spreads light through his work in nature, theology, and plant-based healing. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement. Let's dive right into it and introduce Dustin. Good morning, brother. How you doing?
I am outstanding, sir. Good morning to us all.
I had to have Dustin on the podcast because we'd actually met through the TikTok platform. And I think one of our mutual friends was like, "You guys, you don't know about each other. You got to know." And so I think it was Leafs that
That's right.
actually told me about you and maybe vice versa. And I was like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, this dude's outlook and positivity are absolutely contagious. And then I found out also a veteran with an amazing story of healing through plant medicine. So, Dustin, why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
Hey, Chief. Thank you for the intro. Thank you for having me on the podcast, bud. Yeah, I am a peacetime veteran. Just before September 11th, I got injured. I'm 100% permanent and total. I ruptured my spinal cord and my hips on a knockoff of a second-story train. I got chaptered honorably under medical conditions. I have a collapsed L5 disc, L4 and S1 both bulge and hit the nerve systems. At 42, they wanted to do full hip replacement on my right hip, but I talked them down to orthoscopic. They continue to hit me up to try to get me to do my left hip, and I say, no, thanks, I'm good for right now. So we just keep fighting the good fight. Went through a lot, 10 years out of the military. I faced all of the trials and tribulations I think we all face, but only in the last 5 years, well, let's say 7 years, did I really find a new path. We'll just say, and
Okay.
take the alternative way, the natural way, to start healing and just going inside into the heart, and using plant medicines instead of the pharmaceuticals and the medications that the VA had me on, which was making me all kinds of ways.
Sure.
And I found a lot of inner peace by doing it. You know what I mean? It really did. It really turned around my life.
I do. So you mentioned you sounded like you came out of the military in quite a bit of pain from an accident.
Yeah, bro. And they had me on a ton of opiates. They had me on Vicodin and Soma, a bunch of other stuff. Young guy. I was only 21 years old. So obviously, yeah, we like to imbibe in the alcohol and the combination of both. We all know what happens when you mix alcohol and opioids. Bad things happen.
You were very young when you were prescribed the opiates, and I think if those who saw my interview with Will from the Grunt Style Foundation, he called out and highlighted that 68% of our veterans that go to the VA are prescribed these opiates. And just another story, almost 100% of the time, like like Dustin had just mentioned, veterans pair that now also with alcohol, and it creates all types of chaos and calamity in our life. So, Dustin, I apologize. Continue.
No, no, amen to that. And I think a lot of people don't realize the fact that the noises and the voices, we talk about veteran health, mental health, especially in the transition from military to civilian life. And I don't think it's, talking about break stigmas, which you guys always talk about, and that's your guys' thing. And that's why I'm really proud to be here. Upon exiting the military, everybody that's ever served knows that our day is orchestrated 100% of the time. You know what time to wake up, what time to be at formation, what time to eat, what time to shit, what time to shave, what time to shine. And you get there, you
How
get
to
in, you
do it.
show out. How to do it every day, dude. Morning to sun. You got the freaking we got revelry in the morning, we got revelry at night, and then that's our time to collide. Once you get out and you have free will again, and nobody's there to freaking tell you need to be, and you don't have orders, and nobody's got integrity, and nobody's got the freaking, hey, if you talk to me this way, we got to settle this up. They'll just do this. Like the structure of the military goes completely away, and all of a sudden you're just left to your own devices. And if you got these pills in your head and then you start mixing and drinking, and then maybe you've got, the PTSD of what you've been through coming in, our brothers and sisters that have seen the horrors and come back and they don't have anybody else to talk to. And I think that's what we have to break these stigmas so that everybody can come together, help one another, each other, that understand that we're not alone anymore, and get those hard conversations started, bro.
And I think that the way we do that is by having these conversations like we're having today.
Yeah.
And I think that when people put it all together and realize, holy smokes, like you just said, you just came out of the military where life was structured for you. You didn't have a question about what your day to day plan looked like
Right. The
or
boss.
even how to do it. You had somebody right there to help you. And then that's gone. So you've got to figure it out. But on top of that, you're also in pain. And so you're trying to learn so much. It really weighs a lot, irregardless of what you went through in time and service, whether it was combat zones or peacetime, that's just more to even think about, more to contribute to the present of what's going on after you've already gotten out and people not understanding that. And it's it's important to tell our story so that people can maybe hopefully put themselves in our shoes, or maybe they know of someone that resonates with, and they can hear, "Okay, that sounds similar. I've heard this before. What did they do to fix it?"
Right.
So, how many from the pain and once you got out, how many different types of medications did they actually prescribe you?
I was on up to six, man. My latest one after the opioid crisis obviously ended, and they weren't allowed to give us that no more. My experience in the behavioral health realm, we know that after 2000s and the 2010s, the opioid epidemic became a street affair. I'd like to say it went from the prescriptions to where they're not giving the prescriptions no more, so people went back to the basics to try to get it. And we saw an influx and all across this great nation and all across the world is saying, okay, well, there's no more opiates to get. We're going back to the end. All of a sudden, all of the drug rehabs are filled up again with all of these H users, even worse than it was in the 70s. Why? Because of this situation. They need to get their fixes. But how do we heal them? How do we get them away from these things now that they've been given it? Like you mentioned, I was only 21. And then all of a sudden I started drinking. And all of a sudden, I'm waking up with a fractured jaw one night because I mouthed off to the wrong guy while I was intoxicated. And I had my jaw wired and shut for a month. Or the 17 stitches I had in my left eye from having a beer bottle cracked across it just because I was drunk and in the wrong place at the wrong time, and these we go through this stuff and nobody talks about it and nobody says, hey dude, you need help, we can help each other, like let me just grab you by the arm and say, dude, I've been through this, you can do better. And that's why I want to be here, and that's why you're here, and that's why we should be all coming together, dude.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry to hear that. It sounds like, with the medications and the alcohol, poor judgment does come into play. And sometimes, like in your case, it costs us extra physical harm. You want to talk to us a little bit about um, your rock bottom? Just like where did it take you? Like how did it conspire? And then we can kind of work our way out from there.
All right, so I was a functioning user and substance and everything else, very functioning. My last job I had, by the grace of whatever it is that connects us all, I was recruiting the C-level executives and the board of directors for big pharma, biotech, and life science companies around the world. We were the 25th highest ranked recruiting firm in the entire United States of America with only 30 employees. Um, I got to see the inside of the belly of the beast of the pharmaceutical industry, and I was making really, really ridiculously good money doing it. Um, but then I started to see things like I started to see a cancer treatment that was supposed to be this miracle pill that everybody could take for skin cancer. And then they got to human trials and they found out the people that had the placebo, the control, the sugar pill, were healing as fast as the ones getting this new miracle pill. And then I found out that they weren't going to publish the results, that people were healing themselves naturally because they don't have to. If they cancel the trial and they cancel the research and it never goes to fruition, then they are not obligated to publish those findings about people can heal themselves on their own if they think they were getting something to heal them. So that shook my world. And then I felt really guilty about being in this industry. And then my buddies came over from Australia. And then we went up to a festival, a party festival, all the things, three hotels, all the DJs, and la la la. Let's go celebrate and woo woo. And yeah, man, seven substances, including alcohol, that night.
Wow.
And I went down, Chief. I went down hard. I went down hard. By the grace of the universe, there was a very special person who is now my wife that was there to take care of me. And she saved my life that one night. But then she was the one that, like, we started dating. She awoken me to myself. She's like, look, dude, like, I know you're this cool guy. I know you've lived all this life, but you're broken inside, and you really need to take a look at what is broken so that you can start healing it. And no, you don't need this, 6-figure income. You don't need this house by the beach. You don't need all of this stuff to make you happy. You need to find happiness within yourself. And we've been together 7 years now. We'll talk about all the stuff that we've built over the last 7 years, but for the first year, we were all in philanthropy. I helped rescue and freaking reunite the American Legion of Palm Springs with the rest of the community and stuff, because they got a little bit isolated over the past several years. And then we helped with the Pride organization. She was the director of entertainment for the Palm Springs Pride. And I got to be, as a hetero white male, involved with the LGBTQIA, community in a huge way that just softened my heart and gave me such compassion, you know what I mean? From a situation of being this guy and growing up in the service with don't ask, don't tell, but having a lot of friends that told me because of the love that we shared, you know what I mean? That really changed it. And all of a sudden I was like, wow, everybody from every community has such suffering. But if we really just learn to listen to each other, we can really find out we got a lot in common. So that was the first year of philanthropy. Then we sold everything we owned, everything, and just moved into a 20-foot trailer and a pickup truck. We traveled the country during 2020, which was insane. Everything was on shutdown and lockdown, and here we are just driving around the country, checking
During
everything out.
COVID.
That's it. We were on COVID, bro. Like everybody else was on lockdown. We're just smooth sailing. No traffic on the highways. Nobody at the freaking stops. Like, it was beautiful. But then we decided we needed a place. So some place that was a sanctuary, some place that we could be locked down and not have a problem with it, and that's when we've been up here. And it'll be 5 years this December that we've been building this whole property from scratch, not from scratch, but from experience. So yeah, that's a little bit about it, bro. And through that whole time, um, a lot of internal struggle and healing and hard talks with myself, a lot of plant medicine. But I've been off of, like, the majority of my medications. I'm not going to say I'm fully off of my medications, because I have really, really bad days where I can't walk, I can't move. Like, it's bad. But I do manage through my cannabis intake, through natural holistic eating and supplements of all of my dietary. My wife is very good about that. She makes sure that I'm on it. Yeah, sure, we cheat and we go out for In and Out and some burgers and stuff. I mean, I love my steaks, but for the most part, it's I've created a diet, as if hummingbird flies on my face. Really weird. As part of my diet is not just my food intake, it's my sound intake, it's my social media intake, it's how much news I intake. It's everything about my existence now is a part of contributing to the positive vibes of inner growth, love, and light. So that now I fell back in love with myself. And it's easier once you love yourself again and you don't have all these chemicals messing with your freaking imbalances to make you say, you know what? Like, I'm good. I'm not 100%, but I'm definitely a lot better than I was. And if I continue to increase this diet, just like everybody that's ever started eating healthy or given up alcohol or whatever they've done to improve themselves just a little bit, you start feeling exceptional. And then you can start
Yeah.
helping others, inspire other people to be exceptional.
It's your appetite isn't just what you ingest through your mouth, through your ears, the conversations, the music even that you listen to is all a big part of it. And you covered so much there that I definitely want to come back to this. What I'll end that on is you have to do all of that every day. Gotta be
Amen.
consistent, gotta put in that work. Now,
Amen.
you mentioned that you had found some alternative healing such as cannabis. Will you talk to us a little bit about your journey with cannabis and maybe even how your views on cannabis have changed throughout your lifetime?
All right. Well, first off, my father is one of the largest behavioral health people in the entire state of California. We grew up that all substance was wrong, period. Very, very conservative. Most kids go to summer camp. I got to go to horse camp and go on work on a horse ranch to make sure that I was out there busting my butt. Basically like a camp, you know what I mean? Not a summer camp, but I was mucking stalls, washing saddles, washing horses, like doing the darn thing, on the ranch life in LA, in Los Angeles, which is unheard of. I got caught maybe like once, or so I tried it maybe when I was like a junior or senior in high school. That was it. Just tried it. Hit the military, got out of the military, got a Class A driver's license. I was part of the Teamsters for the 399, driving trucks and stuff and cars for the movie studios out here in LA. And zero tolerance. Zero tolerance. I hated it. Cannabis was a big no-no. And you don't touch it. Freaking it's gross, freaking hippies, freaking stoners, blah, blah,
But
blah.
you
All
could
this.
get drunk and have it? I don't get that.
let's go, bro. And I'm talking drunk. You know what I mean? In the military, we got drunk. We used to start with a 20 pack of Bud Light, me and three dudes. We'd get a 20 pack of Bud Light and a bottle of 151.
Ew,
Let's
151's
go.
gross. Anyways, I
Let's
didn't mean
go.
to sidetrack you there. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, not sun tracking. This is what it is, though, bro. And then with the alternative healing, like what I started noticing is once I got out of, I stopped driving for the Teamsters Union because they had a bunch of strikes. I had to work, so I got out of the union and I let my Class A driver's license lapse because you can't have zero tolerance on that as well. No drinking, no freaking nada. You get random piss test all the time, you guys, right? So once that lapsed, one of my buddies I was going through a lot of stuff and everything else. He goes, "Hey man," he's like, "you need to try cannabis." He's like, "You're on all these pills. You just had your jaw fractured in the situation, like because you're on all these pills and drinking, dude. Like, I really want you to try cannabis." And so I started, and I liked it, and it started to help in ways that I didn't think it could, to where my inflammation was down, my pain, it's still there, but it disconnects mental the mental stress to it. Does that make sense? Like when you're hurting, and I
You
hurt,
know that
but
it's
my
there.
brain just doesn't care. I'm
Yeah,
like,
your
oh, okay,
brain
yeah, the pain's there. Right on.
I can acknowledge that I have something going on down here, but I can still function and get through the day. Yep.
Exactly.
Now,
Exactly.
when you started consuming it that way, how did you consume it? Did you smoke it?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
how
I
do you
was
smoke? You smoke
smoking.
joints, pipe, bong? How do you consume?
Actually, I'm a fan of the pipe. I'm not gonna lie, because what I'll do is I'll just take a little toot on my pipe and I'll go run around and do my stuff. And then if I feel stuff start, I come up a little bit or down or something starts hurting, I can just take a couple toots, 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 toots. You know what I'm saying? That's usually my way. Obviously, I like to consume any which way I can to help me out. I definitely find that consuming edibles and whatnot in the or the edible form hits me a lot different. It makes me a
Yeah.
lot more lethargic and tired and whatnot. So that's more of an evening time thing if I do it. During the day, though, you see my energy, bro. Watch out. Like, this is me on Indica 24/7. I don't smoke anything that would definitely, add or contribute to anything. But yeah, man, cannabis definitely started changing the script for my life, because all of a sudden, I'm not gonna lie, it was another 10 years of living life and everything else. But once I started on this inner journey and started getting away from the medication, I really started to notice that my body felt different. I felt different. I was more clear in my thought. I was more clear in my intentions, and my body did not hurt as much, period. It
I
didn't.
would really like to have this conversation with you because you are very openly spiritual, and something that Dustin and I share together is our love for both Ram Dass and
Ah,
Alan Watts. I could sit there for
thank you.
hours and just listen to lecture after lecture after lecture, and then when I go to bed, I'll just put on some lo-fi, and then either Alan Watts or Ram Dass, and I can just fade away.
Amen.
But what I did wanna talk about, I've never talked about this with anyone else,
What you
and a
got?
lot of people say, "Why did you wait? Why did you wait?" Well, I think that everything happens when it's supposed to, and sometimes we have to it hurts a little bit to learn the lesson to get to where we need to be. However, I think that when I was on the medications and maybe even the booze, I wasn't in my right mind to open up to any of this, and for me, cannabis certainly helped me with my thoughts enough that I could, um go internal
And
and
push out
reflect
push out that outside noise.
and push out that outside noise and start to ingest what was going on internally and do that introspection. And,
Correct.
I couldn't do that on alcohol. I definitely couldn't do that on any of the medications they put me on. Because even my coworkers were like, "Dude, you're not even you." My sense of humor had changed. I would just sit there like a robot a lot of the time, and I remember I would just sit there to myself, just going through the day-to-day routine like, literally like a robot, like a
I
wind-up
feel you.
robot.
This
But I
resonates with me huge ways.
so I wanted to ask you with the cannabis, how has that helped you mentally and bring you mental clarity?
That is a beautiful statement. It brings me much more peace. Okay. I am a natural reactionary. I'm ADHD diagnosed. I am bipolar diagnosed. I gave up my medications for ADHD the day I left for MEPS, bro. Like when I left for friggin' service was the day all of a sudden I stopped on dizipramine, Dexedrine, Prozac, and all this stuff that my parents had me on, and Ritalin, trying to keep me controlled and energized.
Cold turkey boot camp style, huh?
Let's
Wow.
go, bro. And then you want to talk about basic training, bro? They wanted to make me strong.
So strong.
You know what I mean? Senella, shut the God, what the I had a drill sergeant come up to me and he freaking about 5'6", was about a foot shorter than I am, or whatever the hell he was. And he come running, rah, 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 rah. And I couldn't hold it, Chief. I giggled at him.
Oh, you giggled at him?
What is so funny? I was a drill sergeant. I didn't know no better. I was a punk kid. Drill
Yep.
sergeant, my mama's scarier than you.
Dang.
I did a lot of push-ups, brother. I did a lot of push-ups. A lot of
Yeah.
push-ups.
Yeah, they change you pretty quick, man. I remember my first night in boot camp, we like, as a division, we still had all of our hair. We still had civilian clothing on, but we got in super late in
Yeah.
Great Lakes. And so we marched into the dining facility, the galley, and went to eat. Well, I didn't pay attention who I was with, so I didn't know anyone. So I went and I sat at the wrong table. I sat at one of the RDC, the drill, yeah, tables, and they
Yeah.
just stared at me. And then next thing I know, they're like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Well, what I said was, "If I wanted this kind of treatment, I would have just stayed at home." They didn't think it was funny at all. So, yeah, also push-ups, then I lost my division, like, "You don't even know who the fuck you belong to?" I'm like, "I just got here. I just got here. I don't know shit." But, yeah, pretty instantly ruined my sense of humor that I had been building up my whole life.
That's rad, dude. Oh, that is rad, man. But that's the way about it, you know. You got to get they got to break you so they can rebuild you, kind of thing. I think their problem with me was they never actually got to break me, so I think that pissed off a lot of the drill sergeants that my soul was already so strong beforehand from all the trials and tribulations
Yep,
before the military that when I got there, I was just like, man, my mama's scarier than you. I've survived scarier than you. You can't really actually hurt me other than to make me strong. So please, I will keep pissing you off so you continue to make me strong. Like, let's go.
yep. That's how I raise
You
my
know?
kids. You get smart or you get strong. And my oldest bub, dude, he is on a fitness journey. That dude's ready.
Yes, I love that. Fitness
But
journey.
anyways, I
Let's
wanna
go.
go back. You said that, with your cannabis consumption, it helps to give you peace because you had ADHD, you stopped all those medications cold turkey, but when you got out of the service and you started to consume, can you kinda walk us through what that peace, looked like and felt like for you?
Man, it's really an interesting conversation with I have had with myself. And the fact that I was on so much synthetics for so many years, and I'm talking from 6 years old to 18 years old. So 12 years of my life medicated highly. And I was so highly medicated on the ADHD medications, I had to have weekly check-ins with my psychiatrist to make sure that they weren't unaliving me. Like
Wow.
that's how high of levels they had me on, how high level ADHD I was and hyperactivity I was. So going into the military, I got disciplined a lot. I had a lot of disciplinary issues and stuff. I had three Article 15s and got my rank back 5 times in 3.5 years.
Wow. You were putting in that work, that troublesome work.
I had a very good physical fitness program, sir, just like you mentioned for your kid.
Man.
Boy, I learned a lot and I learned to be strong. But coming out of it, even dude, finally getting into it, and then I did 2 years journey, bro. I paid 120 bucks out of pocket 3 times a week for 2 years of my life with a mental health professional to get my head straight. I was so angry at the world and just so brokenhearted. We didn't really talk about what happened before the military, but I dealt with physical, verbal, and emotional abuse pretty strongly. It was pretty bad. Um, but you know what? Um, I made it out of that, and then I went into the military, and everybody told me the military was going to be hard, and I was like, actually, it's a lot easier because I know what they're trying to do. You know what I mean? They're just trying to make me strong. Like my parentals were trying to make me strong before the military. Then when I got out, and society was as cruel and society. We'll just put it that way, bro.
Not
Society.
everybody not everybody
And
cares.
that's nobody cared. Nobody cared. And I was very isolated from myself, from my family, from my friends, and then did my 20s, got in all kinds of weird trouble and stuff and things. Like we've talked briefly about, slight incarceration, this, that, and the other thing. Doesn't matter, dude. We were on the wrong side of the tracks. And then coming out of that 2 years, my mentor, who God rest his soul, he just passed, he just crossed over last year. Bob at the end of the 2 years said, dude, you're the reason guys like me get out of bed in the morning. And I go, what do you mean? He's like, when you came in here, son, I didn't think you had it in you. I didn't think I had it in me to freaking help you through whatever the hell you'd accumulated over the past 30 years. But you came in here, you've spent the money, you never skipped an appointment, you did the work. There's times I thought I was gonna have to freaking call security in here to freaking protect me. Like you were literally just going through it, bro. And the fact that you made it through and you're this positive vibe person still, and you've let go of all this hate shows me that you've got it to make it. And I was like, okay, cool, man. And he knew he's a sober guy for 70 years. He was the lead addiction specialist for Hoag Hospital in Orange County, California. And he wasn't really a psychologist like for me. He was a psychologist for addicts, but he told me that I was addicted to suffering. Like Ram Dass, like, you know, the Tolic traditions, like Alan Watts, like we talk about finding that inner peace. And that's what it was really about, was falling in love with myself. So after those sessions and then the continued use of cannabis, I was able to start mellowing out. But it wasn't until I truly let go of what I thought society wanted me to be, and I just started being me, my loving, positive vibe, like, wow, going out positive light. You know what I mean? You know what it is,
Yeah.
dude. Like, let's go, let's grow all the
Let's
time from the
go.
soul. Wow, wow, wow. You know, that's what it is for me, bro. And that's how it's ever been since. And I tried to quelch it for so long, and I tried to mellow it out for so long. And finally, just even recently in the last 6 months, especially with the whole TikTok thing, like I'm just a dude, you know, with a phone, and I'm a veteran, sure, but that was so long ago in my eyes, and it's a big part of who I am. But for me now, especially with cannabis, the past is a place of reference, not a place of residence. And I think that alcohol, and I think that pharmaceuticals, and I think anything that we're consuming that takes us away from the sunny side of life, like Sunnyside says, Sly says, and you say, is bad for our diet, is disconnecting us from ourselves, from society, from our true calling, from our life. Like it really is. So the more that we can rely on natural things like cannabis, like here, let's take a walk, bro, like cannabis, like natural herbs. Oh, pardon my legs. You know, where I can come into my garden and I can pull fresh grown oregano, or I can pull fresh grown garden sage, or I can pull actual fresh thyme and English lavender and big rosemary bushes, or I can come over and get some Mediterranean oregano, or some calendula flowers, or some lemongrass, or some yarrow. And this is what I've built over these past 4 years. Every scoop of gravel, my brother, every single bed, everything my wife and I have grown to increase peace, to increase our love, to show other people that, you know what, you can start over from scratch and you can build something beautiful as long as you're willing to put in the consistency, the willpower, the discipline, and the gratitude every single day, like we were talking about earlier in the live. You have to be willing to put in the work, brother. You have to be every day.
Every day, and it's not gonna happen overnight, so you covered quite a bit there, and I wanna close the gap on that a little bit, so, let's talk about some of that work that it took you. You talked it out. You had mentioned, you found your wife, your rock. Let's talk about some of that daily work that you put in, and I want to keep in mind for folks, you still live in significant amounts of pain, correct? So,
Every
I
day.
want I want people to understand the amount of mental energy and effort sometimes it really takes to stay positive. So let's talk through a little bit more of that work that you've done and get up to what you've built today, and then we can start to talk about some of the struggles you still are overcoming.
Okay, brother. Where do you want me to start on this? You want me to
So you
start as
met your
far as like,
wife. You met your wife. Let's go from there. Let's talk about the
okay,
work there to your daily disciplines now with the gardening. So you've got gardening. You
rocks?
do rocks? Let's talk
Geodes and
about it.
stuff.
Let's
All right,
talk
let's
about
talk
that
about it.
energy.
So basically, we went from, you know, the corporate life, the materialistic life, sixth floor corner office with the view being the Beverly Hills golf course. Let's go. I was in that life. Then all of a sudden going into, you know, traveling and giving up everything over that first year. That me and my wife, we did the philanthropy thing. We gave away as much as we could. We helped out a ton of people. We were just all about community and love, and we ended up getting screwed over pretty hard by several people that really broke our hearts. So we decided to, you know, let's go find each other, let's go find ourselves, and we traveled for that year. And it was just her and I in a little tiny trailer. It was COVID, you know, it was all these things, but we stuck it out, man. And we started loving on each other. And we had a lot of deep, intimate conversations between the two of us. You know, you and Sonny got to go on that week long or 2 week long vacation that you guys pulled out of the ether and said, no, we're taking this time for us right now. We're going to go live it up for a moment. And that's what we did too. But we did it for a full year. And you know, the soul connection that you get from being that close to somebody and that close of a confine, and your energies are just flowing. I saw you guys in your
I'm
posts
here
just going, check us
love
out. We're living it up.
You hear
Yeah.
it all the time, but, love transcends even death. Love transcends time and space. Sonny doesn't even live in the same state as I do, Dustin.
I know.
Sonny and I are in a relationship where we're 19 hours apart, and so we've we're building a life together that requires us both to make that kinda time, and at our age, we don't wanna waste it, so we spend our time together doing the things that we know we love, doing the things that reset and balance both of us,
Right.
and it's not easy, but what we found is that simple life is what makes us happiest, and that
Amen.
includes, less intake from the phones, less TikTok lives, less even cell phone service most of the time, and more of that sitting by the river, listening to the birds,
Wow.
and yep, or even just when she's with me here today, we're building out a garden. We've got the garden, we got the greenhouse set up, we're getting our hands dirty, we're
Let's
putting in work,
go.
we're still getting a little frustrated, but we're loving every minute of it.
And that's it, dude. It's just flowing with the vibes as they come. And, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to freaking realize that sometimes you need to be down in the dumps. But as long as you don't stay there and, like I said, make it a place of residence, you can't. Everybody's going to go through the waves of grief, loss, tragedy, happy, sad, whatever. But you can't stay. You can't dwell. You got to keep moving forward, like you said, Chief. And with my wife and everything else, that's her discipline, her inspiration, her consistency has always just kept me going, has always kept me grounded. I'm fire and earth, and she's earth and water. So we balance each other out. I say that our foundation is forged in fire because of what we've put ourselves through willingly to be so successful. And people are like, oh, how are you guys so happy? It's got to be. And I'm like, no, dude, like we struggle just like everybody else. We have our issues with just like any other couple, but our solid foundation of look, like we want the best for each other. We want each other to grow no matter what. We want each other to be happy no matter what. Even if we have to ever separate, we understand that that would be something that we would navigate together. But that's the thing I don't think most people do is they don't, like you were talking about, you don't really take the time to bond on an internal level to say, let's do an emotions check. Like, how are you doing? What's going on? Is there anything I can help you with? Like, having these real heart to heart conversations, especially in our personal relationships, is definitely key. And I
And
think once we
and
start
being
doing that,
honest, and doing that honestly, you have to tell that
100%.
truth. Yeah. Yeah.
Through the heart, dude, through the heart. You can't let the falsities and you can't, oh, I'm fine. Oh, I'm okay. No, you have to be willing to openly communicate and have, the reception back and not let it get clouded by all the outside world. And that's why the cliches go like, you don't talk about your relationship and the negatives of your relationship to anybody on the outside because it's not their place. It really is the just the core, the two halves coming as a whole. And no matter what that looks like, sometimes it's pretty, sometimes it's a little bit ugly, but at all times it's all out of love and it's contributing to the wholeness of the relationship. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does to me.
That's it, baby. And that's how we grow and 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 we grow. Every step, every moment, if you're lucky enough to have a partner in it, you better treat them like they're your partner. You don't treat them like an afterthought. You don't condescend them. You don't freaking try to control them. You just try to support them and love them to help them be the best version of themselves. And that's it. You take the selfishness out of it. Like, yeah, you do a lot for me. You love me, you're everything else, but how am I helping you be a better person? And
You
how is having you in my life making me a better person?
I
And I
think
want to
one of
express that gratitude.
I think one of the biggest things that goes through my mind is if
Mhm.
I really love someone, the best I can do for them and the best they can do for me is try to be better than I was yesterday in every way. And if they can match that same energy, that, love themselves, be better, that impacts those around them.
Yep.
So I've learned that it's not so much just do this as it is, just focus on being better every single day because you get pretty good in some areas. But just like with basketball, you got to practice. Just like with going to the gym to see those results, it takes so much time and we are impatient as a people, and I think that part of like your gardening and even when I'm gardening with Sunny or even if I'm growing my medicine, okay? It takes patience, it takes time, and if you know that it's worth it in the beginning and you love that grow, it's gonna be the best consumption you've ever had, and I think
Amen.
that all aspects of life can learn from that. Just be patient. You never know, but it could be way better than you expected, right?
Amen, brother. Amen. And that's the thing about all all human existence, especially now. Alan Watts said in one of his speeches, imagine someday that you have a little device sitting on your desk and you can push it and anything you want can come through it and you can order it. And now we are. We have these iPhones where we can literally click DoorDash and have any food in our area delivered, or we can order anything on the world off of one of these websites. Like, it's here and it's now. But he also said at the end, he's like, eventually you're going to have to come up with an app called Surprise, because you're everything's going to be already there in front of you. You're going to have to say, well, surprise me, because I don't know what the hell. Everything I've won is right here at my fingertips. And
You
that's
know,
what I think
there
we can't lose that. Can't lose that
I
luster.
reflected on that Alan Watts speech after I'd heard it the first time, and I realized there's so much truth to this because you can't buy me anything for my birthday, I'll just get it off Amazon. At the end of the day, after I lost everything that I had owned, I realized I was the happiest with nothing. If you could have everything in the world, at the end of it, you're not gonna want anything at all. You know what I mean? That's that's unrealistic. That's like if every single day of your life was a good like, the best day, you
You
wouldn't
would be
know.
a weak ass person
Yeah.
if you've never gone through any trial, tribulation, or challenge, or grief, or loss. And you are very lucky. You are one of the blessed souls that apparently you're just here for a good time, because I've grown more in my trials, my tribulations, my challenges, and my tears, and my blood and my sweat and everything else, and any smiley, happy, dancing, go lucky day I've ever had.
And
Period.
that gives you a genuine appreciation for what you do have, I
For
think.
all of it. For
And
all
so
of it.
that
And the present
to
moment.
me to me, and this sounds horrific, but to me, anytime something bad happens, even something morbid, a loss of a loved one or some horrible thing, I know beyond this in time, this taught me something, or I wasn't ready for something. I remember I look back and I'd spent quite a bit of time with my father, so I felt good about the time we'd spent together before his passing, but I remember when he passed, nothing prepares you for that. And at the time, I was like, I didn't know. I didn't know what was gonna happen, you know? I didn't know how I was gonna fully react and respond to this. Um, but I took a lot of time, and I reflected on it, and I realized I needed to be strong for my family, and I needed to demonstrate, um, the proper responses and reactions, and I did grieve, and I allowed my kids to grieve to me, made it comfortable for them. Long story short, what I learned from it is I feel my dad. I laugh like my dad. I feel like I became him sometimes. But even if I'm sitting in the studio and I ask my dad a question, I'm going to hear him. And I can still feel him proud of me. You know, I can still feel these things even now. Super proud. My dad was a mega hippie. Um, Always, his whole life. He didn't stop. He had the long hair and the mustache, lost the long hair with cancer, but still
Uh,
had a giant stash, still wouldn't give up his medicine at
yeah.
all.
Yeah.
And the fact that I'm putting out this message and getting to know other veterans and making friends across the world at this point would make him so proud, you know? And the point of that, me saying that is love transcends death, love transcends space and time. If you can feel it, it's there.
Amen. Amen. And, to highlight that, a lot of what you said, and to retouch on several points, I got to watch my father lose my mother, his spouse. And then 7 years later, I got to watch my father lose his 30-year-old son, my younger brother. And I had to walk through that fire with my father, and not just as his son, but as something different. And that changed our dynamic a little bit, because my father is a self made millionaire, period. He's never let us freaking want for nothing, but he's never given anything freely. So we learned how to earn our own. And through that, through the gratitude and everything, and watching him suffer in such ways, and still continue to help other people in the behavioral health sector, still continue to be there for all of our family. A testament to the willpower of love transcending, like you just said. But B, it's also a testament to everyone in this world that no matter how much money you have, you will not be protected from loss. You will not be protected from grief. You will not be protected from illness. You will not be protected from fraught and not and freaking suffering. You will not. Money does not save you from any of this. So anybody that's got a belief that you can make $15 million and somehow everything's going to be okay, you're fooling yourself and you're lying to yourself, because at the end of the day, what really matters, my dad says, cash is king, but family is everything. It's all about love.
It's all about love.
It's all about love.
Dustin, you wanna tell us a little bit about I wanna know more about your rocks because I know that that's something that you do that
Yeah,
brings you
dude.
such joy, and you use that to make other
Yeah.
people happy. Can you kinda show us a little bit of that? Talk to us?
Absolutely, bro. I am into geodes, little crystals and thunder eggs, which got the ugliness on the outside, but they got the beauty within, bro. The beauty within. So I found these about a year ago. My friend Lindsay and Bobby and our nephew Ethan, they're basically our family. They sent me a bag of rocks yeah, for my birthday, and it's called the Geode Guys. And just started falling in love because I started opening up these rocks, and there's such beauty inside. Sometimes it's just rock, but other times it's phenomenal stuff. And I think that is a beautiful metaphor for the human condition, because sometimes anybody can have a rough exterior. We got guys like us that are all tatted up, and we got the sweetest souls, but then you guys got guys that wearing suits and looking all prim and proper, but they ain't got no soul. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it is. So that's what rocks really became to me, and these geodes especially. You know what I mean? So you could find just a normal earth turd, right? It ain't nothing big, nothing. It's just like a little rock. I'm like, oh, that's a cool little round rock. But then when you open it up, just like a person, oh, it's kind of rough on the outside. But when you get to know them, bro, all of a sudden, don't you know, it's freaking straight opal love. It's something
Wow.
that you never thought was, something that, wow, it's beautiful. Sometimes you open it up and it is just a cock a rock, which is cool. It's like, okay, well, that's not something I'm going to be taking home with me. You know what I mean? But then, dude, there's sometimes where it looks real rough on the outside. There's somebody that comes across a little abrasive maybe at first or something, but then you take the time to be like, yo, what's going on? Like, are you okay? Is there something that you need to tell me? Or is there something that maybe nobody's ever let you share? And you give them that moment, that one moment to be like, hey, I just want to know what you're about and like what's driving you to be so hard on the outside and so rough looking. And they're like, whoa, I've never had anybody ask me that before. I've never had anybody just sit down and want to hear my story before, like Chief. And all of a sudden, this really gnarly lava rock looking thing actually has fire within it. A
Wow, I wasn't expecting that.
soul. A soul. Lava rock with real lava within, bro. And this is eternal. Like, serious. And I never expect it. I don't know what to expect when I cut open these rocks. And I don't know what I'm going to expect when I put myself out there and talk to other human beings about my spirituality, about my cannabis use, about my journey. I don't know how it's going to affect them. Some people come back in loving, beautiful ways, and all of a sudden they go from an ugly rock to being freaking this beautiful, almost tie-dye looking hippie stone. You know what I mean? Like, wow, look at you, dude. You are so pretty on the inside. Who would have known if I wouldn't stop just to ask you what's up? And I think that's what it is to me. They're a metaphor for the internal light that we hide from the external world, the ones that we're so afraid to show. We can't let our light show. We have to only show this side, because if we show the brilliance, somebody's going to want to steal our thunder. Somebody's going to want to jade our beauty. Somebody wants to freaking, make us not feel like we're so pretty. Oh, that's a nice rock, but I've got a bigger one. Or, oh, have you ever seen a red one? Or, oh, it's like, come on, dude. No, no, you are gorgeous. I thought that you were just this, but once I opened you, you're this. I'm going to protect this. I'm going to protect this light in me. And I'm going to protect this light in you. And I'm going to protect this light in anybody. And anybody that has had to hide themselves from the world, I'm going to be the truth. I'm going to be the light. And I'm going to be the vibe that I'm like, hey, dude, it's okay. Let's see what you got. And they're like, well, this is me. And I'm like, you're awesome. Let's go.
I love
Let it
that.
out. Let them shine it to the world. Like, please, come on. I know the
Dustin,
world sucks.
you said something there, and I'm gonna challenge our listeners too. And what I just learned from talking with you is that we each have our own hobbies, we each have our own missions, and you've been able to use the rocks as a metaphor, you called it. I challenge all of our listeners to find your metaphor. Find that thing that you can do that helps you make sense of things. Like Dustin has the rocks with people, the outside to the beauty within. Find your metaphor. Maybe that's the gym. My son talks about that a lot. Maybe that's your dog. Find your metaphor.
Find your metaphor in life for your peace, for your growth, whatever it takes for your transition. If it's creativity, you guys, art, please find an art, create something, paint something, write something down. Just let your creativity, your imagination, your inner child just be free for one moment every day. Just be like, you know what? Hey,
Grow
I'm
something.
not just,
Grow something.
let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. You know what? I didn't know it, but if you let carrots grow out, they turn into big old poofball flowers. How cool is that? What?
Just while we're on it, why don't you show us a little bit about your
Look at,
garden?
there's
Tell
the
us what
carrot.
you got in
There
there,
it is.
and
Look
then
at.
what you're
Did you
doing
know
with it.
carrots do this? Did you know that carrots do this? Ah,
I didn't. Still
look at
did, probably.
look at that. Look at that. It's a fresh carrot right there. Ah.
That's a good looking. What's up, Doc?
A little bit dirty, but that's good. I'm
Tastes
telling you,
like
bro, that's what it's about, man. And the garden is what it is, dude. We wanted to, like you were talking about with the medicines. Once you start planting and growing your own food, it tastes different. It hits different. It feels like it's nourishing from within, not just on the mineral and vitamin level, but on a spiritual level. Like I come out here and I cut a cabbage and we stuff it, and it's like wash a magic, you know? It's just wash a magic, dude. It washes all over your soul. Like, hey, I just grew a cabbage and I got to eat it, or hey, I got to grow a broccoli. You know? It just hits different. It really does, like you said. And that's why I wanted this garden. I mean, we even make our own ranch dressing. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've got dill plants just for making ranch dressing.
I love that.
But it's good vibes, dude. And I think everybody, I mean, even if you live in an apartment, even get a little tiny basil plant or something, or get a little flower plant. Just have something that you can grow and love on. You know, if you have just enough space for a little pot, do it. Do it. Grow something. It helps you remember that you are capable of giving love and appreciation to something else. So it reminds you to give love and appreciation yourself. We all got to hydrate.
That's right. Especially if you're getting elevated. Stay hydrated.
Oh, stay hydrated, man.
Dustin, I have to ask you if for all any of our veterans or listeners out there who are on the fence about trying cannabis out as medicine or maybe even recreationally, but specifically for medicine, and they're unsure, what would you say to them?
I would say it's time to break stigmas. I would say that, you know, question everything that the narratives have taught us before, because a lot of it was meant to keep us away from finding inner peace, from finding inner self sufficiency, from finding a way to love ourselves. And I think that, you know, Willie Nelson is right, dude. He's been doing it. He's what, in his late 80s, 90s now? He's still kicking it. He's been swearing by it since the 60s. You know, Cheech and Chong, everybody that's always talked about smoking, you know, we thought they were this, that, and the other thing. But, you know, I've been able to not only function better for myself in society because of using cannabis, I've been able to navigate a lot. You know, if it's out of 10 in chaos and stress, at least it's just brought down to an 8 or a 7. And I think that's worth the try. If you guys are trying it, try it small or simple. Find somebody that, you know, hit somebody up and be like, hey, how do I go about it? And just try maybe one little tiny puff, or maybe eating one tiny little gummy. Like, it doesn't have to, you don't have to go and be like, yeah, let's go rage face and smoke a bunch of weed. Like, no, dude. You can test your moderations, test your feelings. And if you guys go on Vibing with Chief's website, he has a description of all of the different effects of the different cannabinoids that are in the THC plants and in these different CBD plants. And all of these cannabinoids have different purposes and can really help us. They can really help us with different ailments. So please, please, if you're on the fence about it, go to a dispensary, go to some place that's a consumption lounge, and just ask the people, say, hey, you know what? I'm thinking about it. I'm on the nerve. I'm conservative. I've never tried it before. And they will be very, very willing to talk to you about it and help you out in any situation. You know?
Absolutely. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you so much. And
Yeah.
please do check out the website. I have
Please,
a resources
please.
tab on there as well, folks. If you have any questions about terpenes and strains,
Yes.
actually even wrote a book. It's titled Strains for Pains. You can find that on my website, and that's something that I wrote so people can document their journey. So what strains specifically work for them and how. You know,
Right.
like you had mentioned earlier, you had learned over experience that the gummies put you down a little bit, so you don't wanna do that first thing in the morning. That's something that I would
Right.
document and
Right.
say, "You know what? The gummies are perfect for bed," or maybe this strain helped with my pain. This one numbed me. I was able to go out in the garden. This one allowed me to jump in and do 22 push-ups, Dustin, because Chief came in my live. I've been doing push-ups every single day. Today is day 504. I've been doing push-ups to raise awareness to the veteran suicide crisis. And I started doing this just to show that there's consistency out there, and I'm not alone. People jump in and will do it from time to time, and you prove that by doing that on a live in front of everyone in significant amount of core pain, still did it, fought through it. But I also
The
did that
motivation.
to show people not only that you're not alone, but there are ways to overcome it. Every day I go out, I'll go on a hike, I'll go camping, I do something with my dogs, I do something with my family, but every day you got to do something for you,
Just a little something.
just a little something.
Just a little
But
something.
anyways, please check out the website. If you haven't already, it's 420chief.net. This interview and many others will actually be on there. You can get to know me, get to know the mission, learn how you can help support, but most importantly, get informed. There's a lot of good information, especially on my resources tab for every single state, the legalities in every state, even how to contact your politicians to make a change or to tell them your story of healing. And if you are a listener out there, especially a veteran viewer, and you have a powerful story of healing, let me know. I'd love to hear it. Dustin, last thing I wanted to talk about, man, I guess is how can people get a hold of you? How can people help support your mission?
Well, I think we linked the little Amazon wish list. There's some soil and stuff and plant food in that. That's one way. Sequoia underscore Dustin is the TikTok page. Anybody can find me there. I have the Sequoia Dustin Instagram. And other than that, bro, yeah, message me, message Chief. You guys can get a hold of me on those two apps. I'm around and I'm available. I sell my geodes only personally connections. So, if you guys are ever interested in a rock, hit me up on one of the messengers or direct messages. But yeah, I'm around, man. I'm definitely down if anybody needs it. The people are starting to come around on the TikTok app. We just crossed over, I think, 4,800 followers on the TikTok app. So if you guys want to join that community, we do the sunset or sunrise lives occasionally, and we do, evening vibe sessions. Lots of love and check-ins with people, and it's really blowing up. So if you guys would like to join me, and you guys are all about them positive vibes, man, we washa all day, bro.
I love it. Absolutely. Definitely give Dustin a follow on
Thank you,
TikTok
guys.
and jump into those lives. I know that I
Uh,
personally have used them just for a little positivity. Have a little coffee, jump in a Dustin live, and I can assure you, you're not going to leave feeling worse than you came in.
That's
He'll
right,
definitely
baby.
help fill your cup, so to speak.
That's right. Fill those cups.
Dustin, I want to say thank you so much for sharing your story. I mean, you've been through so much and you're such a ray of light that everyone that comes through your life, they see that. And if they don't like it, then they're just struggling, man. They have their own security issues. And positivity doesn't hate. So that's an action, not just words. And Dustin, to me, you're someone who's demonstrating that positivity that, setting that example. My saying is lead with love, lead with change. And you're definitely doing that.
Be a
So
catalyst.
thank you so much for telling your story and all that you are doing and continue to do to bring that positive vibe. And another powerful story of natural healing. Clean, eat clean, consume clean, talk clean, hear clean. Yes, just all of it. Thank you so much.
All
Much
encompassing, brother.
much
All
love to you,
encompassing. And
brother, and
thank
I
you for
will
your journey.
absolutely, and I'll put your links in the description of this. This will be live on YouTube immediately. Give me some time, y'all. If you want, I will go and I'll put his Amazon wish list in the description of the show, as well as his TikTok tag. Dustin, much love to you, brother. Hang out backstage.
All right, brother.
I'll figure this out. I'll close this out real quick here. Wow, right? Well, that wraps up another episode, 420 Chief Podcast. What a powerful conversation. Big thanks to Dustin for sharing his heart, his story, and his healing journey. These are stories that change lives, that crack open stigmas, and remind us we're never alone on this path. In this episode, if it moved you, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want to be part of the mission, head over to 420chief.net That's where you can learn how to support our mission, explore real cannabis education, and find resources to legally advocate for change in your respective states. We're not just telling stories, we're building a movement. Until next time, lead with love.